Hello world, and welcome to Elevated Intuition. Today we are looking at the energy for your next week. And I have 4 piles to choose from. This is a pick card reading. That means that you get to pick a card, number, pile, or crystal, which I will be placing on them in a moment, to engage your intuition so that you can go to that reading and I will engage my intuition to read the cards for you. Again, pick a card, so it's a general reading, so take what resonates. I also have some love messages included. It's been a while since I've done a love reading or love messages, so I felt like we needed to do that and explore it this week. And well, without further ado, let me put some crystals on here. So for pile 1, we are going to have Kyanite represent that pile. For pile 2, I've got Apatite. For number 3, this is Chevron Amethyst. And for number 4, last but not least, this is Labradorite. So you want to get that sparkle there off the light. So the timestamps are in the description. You can go down there and click that timestamp. It will magically take you to your reading. If you still are not sure, we're going to take a deep breath here, center ourselves. So why don't you go ahead and close your eyes, take a deep breath in with me, and release. Okay, now open your eyes. Now, which pile are you drawn towards? And go ahead and click that, and I will meet you there. Hello, number 1s. If you picked the Kyanite, you were in the right spot. Let me place this over here, out of our way. So, how I like to do our weekly readings is I pull one card, which is going to be this one, which is the overall reading for the week, and then we'll get some tarot cards and some advice, and I promised you love messages. So we have for you the fox spirit. Think on your feet. So the fox is very nimble, sometimes very crafty. They don't necessarily exert a lot of energy when they do something, but they really act with, with thought behind it. But quick thought is what's coming in here. Like, think on your feet. They're very resilient. Graceful and astute. They pay attention to what's going on. So sometimes, they're not necessarily always moving, but they're always thinking about their movement. This is to let you know that your judgments and your wit are here to help slip you into an adventure this week. Trust in yourself, trust in your cleverness. When you're faced with an issue, and maybe it's an issue that you've come up against before, and you've hit an obstacle and haven't quite conquered it. This might be, hey, just take a second, look at the situation from all angles. Let's get some out of the box thinking going on. I'm also getting necessity is the mother of invention. So I think that you're going to come up with some ideas that you may not have had before, because you're looking at it in a different way than you have before. And you may not have even, this may be a new method for you too. Like, you do something that's kind of brand new, but you thought it out and you're like, yeah, that's the way I'm going to go. You're not necessarily, when I say think it out, it's not like you're going to spend you're creating a ton of spreadsheets and an action plan, anything like that, but definitely like, okay, if I go here, I go here, I go here, what is going to be the best outcome for me? And that's the way we are thinking this week. So I'm going to put these guys over here for a moment and take a look at these cards. Let's get them out, and then we'll read everything as a whole, okay? So the first card for you is Page of Needles. Ambition, initiative, and restlessness. So, and we have the rooster here with the Page of Needles. And then we've got the Four of Needles. Interesting. It says respite, introspection, and recuperation. And then we've got the Eight of Needles. Imprisonment, self-victim, and entrapment. And finally, we've got the Eight of Cups reversed, avoidance, fear of loss, and escapism. So very interesting, especially with these two cards, like the whole like imprisonment, entrapment, escapism. So whatever is keeping you held in a position, like these two cards are very much of like you're not really moving forward, you're kind of taking a beat here, whether it is a time to like allow yourself some self-healing and planning, or whether you're not moving because you're afraid you're gonna make the wrong move, you're still just kind of sitting here for a moment. But then like I'm really drawn to on this Eight of Cups reverse where it says escapism. Eight of Cups is a card of movement. You're moving away from something, like you're done with it almost though, where when it's in reverse, you're kind of trying it one more time. And I like the escapism after this kind of self-imprisonment of the Eight of Needles, because it really feels like you're going to embody this fox spirit like you're supposed to, and do something that's a little bit calculating and for yourself. So let's go through these a little bit more. Oh, I also want to mention, because I'm noticing that needles, needles, needles. So we've got 3 needles cards, which means that your mind and your intellect is really important this week. Your thoughts are important. Now, sometimes your thoughts can get out of control and they can be kind of negative, like here. But like the Four of Needles is asking you to kind of bring that back, focus it, maybe even meditate, let go of the negative things that aren't serving you, and find a way around the issue, find a way around the problem. I did mention too with the fox spirit how I said that I think, you know, because this is a little bit more creative way of thinking, creative thoughts coming in. You may need to focus your mind a little bit and quiet these negative thoughts so that you can have creative solutions come in that a fox would incorporate. And I forgot where I was going with that other than what I just said. Okay, we'll get to it. Ambition here with this Page of Needles. So the Page of Needles really does want to start moving and going with whatever idea that you've got, right? But you're kind of reaching a blockage. Either you've tried to overcome this problem several times and you just need a rest and take care of yourself, or maybe you just are really focusing on the negatives of what the bad can happen. Like, for instance, if you want to apply for a new job and you just don't do it because you're afraid that you're going to be rejected. Well, you kind of have to get over that. You can be rejected. That's a really appropriate fear. But if it keeps you in this spot, if it keeps you anchored down, that fear is like a self-fulfilling prophecy, because you're allowing your mind to make it like that. Like, you don't know what's gonna happen. That's why you gotta kind of embrace this energy here with this Page of Needles, and bring in those new ideas, that new curiosity, that thirst for knowledge. This also talks about new ways of communicating. And I love like this newness coming in here when I feel like these two cards kind of tell us that whatever problem that you're facing this week, that you've hit a wall with it and you've hit it before. So this fox spirit with this Page of Needles really telling you to bring in new ways of thinking, new ways of looking at it. Now, I am it is interesting to me that we have a rooster here on the page of needles, because I feel like the rooster kind of represents your wanting to kind of like, I don't know, like scream from the rooftops. This is what I'm doing this. Now, but I think that the Four of Needles tells you kind of keep it close to the vest, kind of keep it quieted down right now. Because if you're having enough problems with your own negative intrusive thoughts, you don't need to invite that from others, unless it's like a really trusted friend who is going to have your back no matter what. But you really just need some positives this week. Yeah, so we're seeking some solutions to mental struggles when we have so many swords in a week, and definitely see mental struggles here with this Eight of Needles. But don't worry, like this whole thing is like, how can we overcome this? How can we hit this obstacle head on? And really this last time that we go after it, that we're going to conquer it this time. Four of Needles. Four of Needles tells us that if you need a break, take a break. If this is becoming overwhelming, take a moment. Don't let it upset you to the point of burnout. I feel like the Fox Spirit and the Page of Needles are here to tell you, hey, try it one more time. You can do this. But if you're not ready, don't force it. Take that rest, take that relaxation, take a moment to meditate on your problem. There's nothing wrong with taking a moment to really, like with this Fox Spirit, assess your situation so that when you do move, that you're doing it in the most productive way. And I do love the Fox Spirit here, because the fox is not somebody who forces things. They're more of a finesse. So if you have been reaching this problem or facing it head on, like kudos to you. But if that's not working, then it's like, okay, let's double back and like go around the problem. Let's find that back door. Let's find the side solution. Let's go around here and attack it from this side. Like there is a big barrier here in front of us. Let's go around that and find that back door into it. And I feel like if you use the Four of Needles in the right way, where you take that break, you recoup, and you're patient, be patient, and assess your situation, that you're going to make it. The biggest obstacle here is your own thoughts, your own intrusive thoughts, this own self-victimhood, the self-imprisonment, these thoughts that tell you, you know what, you should just give up. No, don't listen to those things. Take the blindfold off. So normally, and there's like a ribbon here kind of representing the blindfold, because usually with this Eight of Needles, it is a woman in the middle of like these swords. It's almost like a prison, but her hands are tied and she's blindfolded. However, it's done in a way that she can easily take it off. So we need to take off the blindfold and again, look around and assess our situation in a smart way. And meditation too, to quiet those negative thoughts and let this inspiration, this like information that you need, these new ideas, this new way of thinking of something, in. When your mind is cluttered with negative thoughts, you really can't invite these new solutions in. And this week is about inviting those new solutions in and taking action on it. That's the second part of the Fox Spirit, and that's with this Eight of Cups card. So the Eight of Cups normally represents just walking away from the whole thing, but it's not time for you to walk away yet. It's time for you to try one more time and do it strategically and do it in a clever way for yourself, and trust your cleverness. Trust how smart you are, because you're a very smart person. You're very capable and you can handle this. And we're letting go of these negative things because they just are not true for us anymore. So our final advice here, oh, very interesting. So we've got 42, the masculine, and we've got 25, resistance. I think that, you know, you may have been meeting some resistance, but you can be resistant yourself. And that's kind of what it's talking about. Like, just keep marching on, one foot in front of the other, and keep just thinking about the situation, unless of course you're burnt out by it, then go do something else, but come back to it. Because not only, like, yes, you may meet resistance, but you can be resistant to yourself. I really feel like more resilient though. Resilience overcomes resistance, and resilience definitely with, you know, really all of these cards in this trying one more time. It's very resilient. And then I love the lunar god of the masculine here for you. I also love 42. If you've ever read Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, you know that 42 is the answer to life. What is it? Life, love, and everything. So whenever I see that, that's what I think about, is that book. It's very, very funny book. Anyway, the masculine is about taking action. I also see swords energy as a very masculine energy. It's a very kind of like, get that information and act on it. And this is telling you to do that as well. Bring in that action. This is kind of like force and power of will. It's time to step forward and lead and be a leader in your own life. Don't let, you know, and the first step to that is like controlling your thoughts to being a leader in your own life. And let's see what we have with these two cards. So we've got healing. Imagine yourself and your beloved surrounded by light. Feel your relationship being healed at this very moment. I feel like this is really connected here to this Four of Needles card, because it is taking a moment to heal yourself, to focus on yourself. Now, these love cards are like not only you, but somebody else. If there have been like negative thoughts regarding your relationship, it's take a moment to heal those thoughts. And then it is important right now to take a step back and spend some time alone instead of placing your focus on another. Now is the time to give to yourself. So much here, what I was saying is like, be a leader in your own life with the masculine. Like really embrace that energy of being a leader, but the energy of like stepping forward in your own confidence. I feel like you do need to inject some confidence here, and I feel like a win would help you do that. When you embrace this fox spirit, or you just get some like creative ideas going, I think that will help you. And then very much connected to this Eight of Needles, because this is your own personal prison. This is your own, this is your mind holding you captive. So that is what I have for you, group one. Embrace that fox spirit, really think on your feet and trust yourself. And if you need to take a moment, take a moment. If you need to sit and heal, sit and heal. But you are definitely very capable of doing something no matter what kind of obstacles that you have run up against in the past. Thank you, and I will see you in the next reading. Hello, group two. If you picked the Apatite, you are in the right spot. Let's take a look at the cards for next week. So I have, like, when I do weekly readings, I usually pull a card, which is our overall energy for the week. And then we've got tarot cards and then further advice. So I'm gonna put the further advice over there. And our energy for the week that was pulled for you is 57, the squirrel spirit. Believe in yourself. So this is, you know, squirrels are really fun creatures. The first thing I think about when I see squirrel are those videos, and I'll link it down below, where they did those squirrel obstacle courses, and they are very nimble and they are very calculated, and they're actually really, really intelligent little creatures. And I think you are too. They're also very tenacious when they go after something. You know, this card specifically talks about like you collecting your acorns and doing basically like your due diligence to set yourself up for the future and kind of planting those seeds for the future. And they do this out of instinct. Now you have maybe put a little bit more thought about it, but it's really creating abundance and manifesting things for yourself. And that's what the card itself speaks about, is that abundance is around you and that you have done the work, and maybe you don't necessarily see the results of it right now, but the potential is really enormous for your growth, or for the growth of one of these acorns. There is always enough, and you have what it takes to create the reality of your dreams. So love that for you. Let's look at the other cards. We've got the Fool reversed, and then we've got the High Priestess, and then we have got 8 of Matches, and we've got the Star card. Okay, totally love this. First off, I want to talk about these 3 cards. The Fool, the High Priestess, the Star. These are major arcana cards. These are major energies. The Star is so much about hope, faith, renewal, and just, you know, really kind of letting go of those past things that have been holding us down, whether they be, you know, beliefs that haven't been great, or people, or relationships, or whatever it has been that has been holding us down. Like the Star has gotten rid of that and is really ready to move forward. Let's go over here to the Fool though, because this is the first card that got put down, and the Fool is in reverse. So in reverse, it talks about, let's see, recklessness, I cannot say it, being naive and risk. It also kind of, let me look at your other cards here. You know, with the Fool right next to the High Priestess, like the Fool just goes out and, I love the idea of the freedom behind the Fool, but the Fool just goes out and is almost anti to the squirrel spirit, because he doesn't think ahead, he doesn't plan, there's no planning behind it, and he's just like on a mission, but really very kind of tunnel vision, doesn't see the issues around you. So I feel like that's kind of what it's more saying is, you know, be more the squirrel spirit, where you're planning ahead, and that is going to pan out for you. That don't be reckless and risk everything. And I don't think you are. I just think that you kind of have been stuck a little bit, and you're just waiting for one of these acorns to really kind of pop for you. So don't be reckless. Don't take huge risks. I love that the Fool does hold kind of like this unlimited potential, which I feel like is here for you, especially with the rest of the cards. So I think that it is there for there, but it with the High Priestess coming next, it's something that you really, your moves that you've been making is something that you should definitely think out, or at least run it past your intuition here with the High Priestess. And she is so connected with the divine feminine, the subconscious, like our perception of reality. She is somebody who is like the keeper of sacred knowledge, and is ruler of like our subconscious mind. This week, I feel like, is really a time for you to get in touch with the way you feel about things, because you're going to be moving, and you're going to be moving fast. And I want your movement to have like a reason, to have like a focus rather than the Fool. I mean, the Fool just kind of sees the end goal and goes for it. The High Priestess, though, goes for that end goal, but is very wise, and I love that there is an owl on here. She's wise about the path that she takes. She's and follows her heart. And I feel like this week is a week to follow your heart, to follow your dreams, and to manifest that. Like, dreams is really, really important. You might even want to do a dream journal if this is resonating with you. And I said that things are going to move very quickly, and that's what the Eight of Matches is about. It's moving quickly. This could also talk about going on, this says air travel here, but yeah, going on an adventure as far, I mean, you're moving quickly, so are you literally physically moving quickly, as in on an airplane? Or is all of a sudden like, wow, one of these acorns is sprouting and it's like, whew, takes off all of a sudden. And I feel like you can follow, you just need to like, what is it, like hitch yourself to a star, something like that, because this is a quick moving energy, so don't miss it. Hang on to it, but let it take you. You can definitely propel the direction that it goes in. I said propel, and this almost looks like a propeller with the star. I just noticed that. You can put that direction behind it and make it go the way that you want it to go. This is really a week where you get to focus that kind of thing. And then the star is just so beautiful. It's hope, renewal, faith. She is, normally it's a she, right now it is a starfish. You know, she's really peeled back the layers to really truly discover herself. So very connected to the High Priestess in that way. Like, what is really your true heart's desire? Like, what do you want? Not worrying about what, you know, the world says you want, or what the media says you want, or what Instagram or what Facebook says you want. What do you really want? That is so connected here to the High Priestess and understanding yourself and your subconscious and the way that you feel about things. And so connected here to the star, because she's just let go of the things, she's discovered the things that she doesn't want and finds what she does want. And I think that that is why this energy moves so fast for you, because it's like, wow, once I do like focus in a direction, I'm just gonna be off to the races and really finding what I want. So then we've got self-reflection and focus. I said focus a couple times, so very important here. Let's talk about self-reflection first. I love this card. It's almost like looking at yourself in almost like a third person, like being really objective, seeing yourself in the mirror. It's interesting that there's water here on the one side, because it's really kind of getting back to this High Priestess of your subconscious mind. And I think that's what you need to do, is get in touch with your feelings, because if you don't know where you want to go, you're not going to go where you want to go. I'm going to put that on a t-shirt, I think. So self-reflection this week, and then focus. Like, once you then discover it, focus on it, go for it. Get this energy moving in the way that you want it to move. Renew yourself in the way that you want it to move. And it can move very quickly because you've let go of the things that are holding you back. I love the butterfly here, almost like on the third eye. It is very kind of transformative as well, like butterflies represent that, and so does the star. So even though you've been putting in this like hard work in the background, I think that maybe you haven't necessarily focused it, or you know, just have really built this great foundation now, and you're like, oh, okay, because I've done my self-reflection, because I have looked into my subconscious and really decided where I want to go, I'm going to believe in myself and focus for that. Interesting. So then our love messages are sexual union, honor the place in another where you are one eternal soul, for there you will find true bliss. I'm going to let that stand on its own. And sacred union, honor and treasure your relationship, for it is truly sacred. I'll let that stand on its own as well. I just find it interesting that you have union here, and it is also interesting because none of these cards necessarily speak towards union, other than maybe like there's two people on the self-reflection here. So very interesting week, group 2. I hope you have a fantastic week, and I hope this resonates for you, and I will see you in the next reading. Hello, group 3. If you picked the Chevron Amethyst, we are in the right spot. Let's take a look at the cards. So when I do these weekly readings, I usually pick a card that represents the overall energy of the week, which is this one. And it is the Chameleon Spirit. Act as if. This is kind of like a fake it till you make it kind of thing, but you know, I have a feeling that you can fit in anywhere. What's important though is to kind of remember your inner integrity, that you can adapt to your environment, and that is all great. But remember who you are deep down inside. This can also talk about maybe coming into harmony with change. So definitely changeability, adaptability. I'm also thinking, you know, there's a saying about being thrown to the wolves and coming back as their queen kind of thing. So you kind of, you know, maybe it's okay, like when change occurs or you're in a situation that you don't know fully what you should do or how you should act or what you should be. But you kind of almost, and that's interesting that there's like this almost a helmet on, like putting on that armor when you're going into that situation, because you're kind of protecting yourself, even though you're acting acting out that situation. But don't be afraid to get in over your head into something. Don't be afraid of change. You will figure it out as you go, and you can be this chameleon and really adapt to the change and to your situations. Let's take a look at the cards that we got. Oh, very interesting. So we have the Devil. And we've got the 5 of Needles. And then we have the, this is 5 of Matches. And then we have the King of Buttons. Very interesting. So one thing that I said was talking about adaptability, and then I'm going back to that, like being thrown to the wolves and coming back as their queen or their king, however you want to be, but basically being their ruler, like going into a situation that you don't really understand fully or command, but then coming out basically like the leader of that. And what's interesting is we're starting, just by looking at the cards here, we're starting off with this Devil card and going to the King of Buttons. And what's cool about that is look at the Devil and look at the King of Buttons. Like, they are both these beetles, and I think they're supposed to be different beetles, but they look very, very much the same. Although different, right? This is the King of Buttons has dressed up a little bit, has dressed for the part. And what's cool about the King of Buttons, this is the King of Pentacles. The King of Buttons very about abundance and is very successful and thriving and is very leadership, like comes out to be that leader. So let's look at the rest of the cards and go along and figure out how we can do that. So the Devil card, it talks about addiction, dependency, and fear, temptation, those types of things. The Devil is, we reap what we sow, like tenfold. This talks about resisting temptation of our shadow self. And there's nothing wrong with seeking joy, seeking pleasure, seeking, like our raw desires. The problem comes in when they control us, when it becomes like an addiction, when it becomes overwhelming, when we're not able to succeed because we are trapped by our own desires. Beetles are very strong, and they have a shell here. So I feel like just be aware of that, because I think that you can resist that temptation. You can resist these things. It's not necessarily like never having fun, because you should have fun. You should partake in things that make you feel good. It's just when it goes to an extreme where it's controlling you. The Devil can also talk about your ego, and I think that what's important about that, even though I think the King of Buttons could definitely reflect like a high ego, because he is very, very successful and has this degree of abundance around him, he can't get to that point unless he can get in control of his ego, unless he has some self-discipline. So there's a certain amount of ego that pushes us forward to help us to be successful. And in fact, I used to work with a lot of doctors and surgeons, very successful people, and they would have these outrageous egos, crazy egos, but at some point they had to put that under wraps so that they could learn what they needed to learn to be this King of Buttons. And I almost feel like that is what these 2 5 cards are about, the 5 of Needles and the 5 of Matches, because I feel like we almost need to have a little bit of an ego death here. We need to have a little bit of humbling, even if you know that you're going to come out here, doctors know that they're going to become a surgeon or whatever. You can't be successful unless you put in the work to do that. And you have to be able to work with other people. And that's kind of what these 5 cards talk about. They're very, very similar to this one. 5 of Needles talks about disagreement, surrender, self-serving. And then, which is really kind of connected to the Devil, because it can be very self-serving. And again, I don't think there's anything wrong with that, unless it is a way that, unless it's controlling you and not letting you move forward. In this card here, we've got the 2 scorpions and they're fighting. 5 of Needles often talks about kind of winning this battle but losing the war. So, and it can also talk about conflict. Well, this is more conflict where there doesn't need to be. But in this situation, each scorpion is on basically equal ground, and that they can both strike at the same time and then basically both lose. So it's, and Needles is communication. So really just maybe this week, be careful with the way that you talk to your friends. You don't really want to start a war with them for no reason. And I say the reason, talk to your friends, because Needles is very much connected to communication and cutting remarks. And they could talk to you that way too. Now, I feel like this is almost an evolution here from disagreement to conflict, but the conflict can be healthy. The conflict, sorry guys, I had my own conflict going out my window. There was a little deer chasing a bunny. Real life Bambi and Thumper, and I tried to get a video, but it didn't work. So let's go back to your conflict. So competition, I don't necessarily feel is terrible in the form of conflict, and I feel like you know, and rivalry, and I feel like that this can actually work together to make people better. And it's really interesting. I think a lot of people are talking about or thinking about the Olympics right now. So it can talk about something like that, like competition and rivalry. Like it can be good. It can bring out some really great things if you like check your ego and you allow it to. Like it can make you better. It can make you a better person. Now, the other thing though is like in a workplace situation where we've got these like ants, like they can do so much more when they work together versus when they are fighting each other. So I feel like it's almost putting down the swords, putting down like the negative way of thinking and the negative speaking to one another, and finding like a common passion with people and working together. And then you emerging like as a leader, because I think you have when you inject some self-discipline, and I think you have that, and you really use all of this power and kind of like focus it here for the better. And buttons is about the physical world, so it can be in terms of you being self-disciplined and physical in your body, or it can be in terms of making money or in your job, something like that. So I feel like this is a week to kind of like put your ego down and transform yourself here into this leader and step into that position. If you've never been there before, that's okay. The chameleon spirit says, hey, just start acting out the way you think it should be, because then you start learning, and then you just are, you just do, you can be. The other thing that's interesting about the devil is normally it has like a man and a woman here. It's very much looks like the Lovers cards, except for they're in chains. So it's important to remember that you can step away from the things that are holding you back at any moment. But the other thing is, because it has a man and a woman, I feel like at the heart of the devil card is balance. Because it is okay to, for example, if you want to have an alcoholic drink, have an alcoholic drink. It's not okay to drink and drive and hurt somebody else. It's not okay to like be like over the top with it where you're hurting somebody else. But so it's definitely a balance where you are doing something and in a way that it is positive and joyful for yourself and others, but doesn't harm people. So let's do this ego death. Let's just remember that ego can be very much attached to it. And I feel like it is attached to it with these two cards, the Five of Needles, the Five of Matches. But just remember that it when your ego is involved and it takes over and you let that run your life, it's not used in a positive way, and we want to really focus it to get us over here to this King of Buttons, if that makes sense. So let's look at our advice cards. Very interesting. We've got Pleasure and we've got the Void, and just looking at these two cards, well, this is a fuller moon. I don't think it's quite a full moon, and then the Void is there's no moon in the sky. It's just a moonless black night. I said something about balance, so really bringing in balance. There's nothing wrong with pleasure. There's nothing wrong with indulging yourself in something that makes you feel good or helps you find joy. And that's what I think that this pleasure card is about, is like the positive sides of the devil. And finding, you know, don't forget to live the life. Don't forget to live your life, and, you know, really kind of get rid of some stress and be happy and joyful. And then we've got the void, and the void is really interesting. This is a time where there's no moon in the sky. I think the void is dark moon, so that's the day before a new moon. And that is the point where you start like bringing in your manifestations, where you start thinking about what you want and bringing them in and acting towards it, when you're doing things with the lunar cycle. So the void is a moment where you take a break and think about what you want and set it into action. I feel like this kind of like take a break is when you find yourself in these situations of disagreement and conflict with your friends and your coworkers, and it's not getting you anywhere. It's really kind of like, hey, let's take a moment and reflect on what we need to do, let go of our ego in this situation, and really find the path that leads us to this King of Buttons. Step up as a leader. How can you step up as a leader? I also love this like kind of, said that thinking about what you need to do. Going back to the chameleon spirit, where I was talking about so much of you kind of like fake it till you make it. So think about how you can fake it to your end goal of making it here, and putting that into action. And then let's see what we have for our love messages. Manifesting miracles. Your dreams are soon to become reality. Trust your heart and continue to follow its guidance. And then friendship. Nurture the bonds of friendship within your relationship, and your love life will dramatically improve. So I think that this is, these are specifically love cards, but this message here of the friendship, like that is also with the people that you have around you. So not just your love, but, and these conflicts too can be with your love. So I'm seeing this in a new way when we bring in this. So really understand that, like, instead of winning isn't the most important thing, especially in your love. It's, I don't want to, you don't want to win over your husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, significant other, partner. You don't want to win. What is really winning is when you are working in harmony, when you're working together in harmony. I think the chameleon spirit talks so much about being in harmony with others. If you don't really know what a healthy romantic relationship should look like because you've never been in one, again, fake it till you make it. You have this idea that you should bring flowers or listen to what they say. We'll start doing that and seeing how that helps you and how that gets you to your goal. So that's what I have for you, group 3. It looks like a really interesting week. I do hope that you embrace pleasure. I do hope that you inject some fun. Just don't go overboard with it. That's what these cards are cautioning. Listen to the people around you. Is the conflict that you're getting into, is it worth it? Or is it really serving the end goal? Or how can you really work with others to be more effective? Get thrown to those wolves and come back as their leader. That's what this King of Buttons is about. Go embrace that leadership role that you're supposed to embrace. And you can't do it when you're in conflict with everybody. So really this week, think about how you can have some fun, but not like get in fights with everyone, and be a leader. So thank you, group 3, and I will see you in the next reading. Hello, group 4. If you picked the Labradorite, you are in the right spot. Let's take a look at the cards. So When I do these weekly readings, I pick a card, I pull a card for the overall energy of the week, which is this one. These are further advice cards, so I'll put them over there for now. The overall energy for your week here to embrace is the Crow Spirit. So co-create with Spirit. This is align your thoughts, believe in magic, be in harmony with something that's bigger than yourself. Co-creating with Spirit, this is manifesting your desires and your dreams. And so when you do that, you need to also be like kind of in a state of gratitude for what you have and appreciate the people in your lives and what you have. And then be open to new and beautiful things coming to you, things that you have dreamed of. You are right on target, and things will be right themselves very soon. So if you're hitting some obstacles, you know, you can really just understand that the universe is working for you, and it's coming for you. So let's get the rest of these cards out. We've got the Hierophant in reverse, and we've got 3 of Buttons, and 8 of Buttons reversed, and the Magician reversed. So I said something about possibly having some obstacles before you, and I feel like that could be present here with the 8 of Buttons reversed and the Magician reversed. Magician reversed may feel like almost sometimes a sense of like imposter syndrome. The Magician is a master manifester, but in reversed, like we're just not in the flow, or we just don't feel like things are going the way that they should. So getting back to that co-creation here, it's kind of remembering that you're a co-creator and understanding that you do have the tools available for you. So we'll get to that in a moment. Let's come back here to this Hierophant in reverse. It says rebellion, doubt, indiscretion. Okay, so I want to focus on the rebellion. The Hierophant is generally, and I'll show you what he looks like in this card because he is a praying mantis. And he's got some beetles here that are kind of listening to him and worshiping him. Very cute. But normally the Hierophant is kind of like this figurehead that you are listening to. So traditionally it's kind of like the Pope, because he is like the leader of the Catholic Church and everybody is listening to what he says, but it doesn't have to be in that sense. So whatever, it could be like your coach, it could be your teacher, it could be your principal, it could be your boss, it can be just society in general and what is like the norm. That's what the Hierophant represents, and it's almost like a community. So reverse though would be your own personal beliefs. The other thing is because it is like this person and what they're saying and like the structure that they've created, and they're telling you how to fit into that structure. When it's in reverse, you could be talking about your own freedom. I think that freedom is something that's important for you this week. Crow Spirit kind of screams freedom to me. Flying and letting go of things. This also can talk about challenging the status quo, like you're no longer listening to that authority figure anymore. Maybe you have and you've been following that structure and it's not working out for you, like with this Magician, and even the 8 of Buttons. 8 of Buttons almost has like this feeling of a union, like a labor union, because Buttons is connected to work and like your job, and really working hard on something. It's usually somebody with a hammer. I love that this is a hammerhead shark, pounding out and building something. So I feel like you kind of want to let go of this structure that has been put in place and that you've been told that you should do, that you're kind of finding your own way to co-create with spirit, because in some way you may have been let down by the status quo, and that's okay. You can be your own teacher. You can follow your own path. There's so many different ways and so much information available to you now that you can really just do, and it's definitely okay to do what you want to do. And you have your own unique perspective, and you can see the world in your own way. And I almost feel like that's very connected to the crow spirit too, because they do have a unique perspective. They have a different perspective than us. They're able to fly above everything and see everything from above. So I think that you're seeing things in a different way, and maybe this is new to you, or maybe this is just ingrained in you and the way that you are. I very much question the status quo all the time, so I don't know if that's how you are, or if you have just woken up and you're like, hey, I've been doing this thing step by step by step, the way that everybody has told me that I'm supposed to do it, and it is not coming out the way that I want it to. Now's the time to kind of follow my own path. But I feel like that when you're following your own path, it's not lonely. And I think that's why this 3 of buttons is here. These are hyenas that are working together. It also talks about being flexible. Sometimes we get into these structures of what we're supposed to do, that somebody has told us what we're supposed to do, and it's not very flexible at all. You have to do this, and this. And sometimes that works out, like when you're following a recipe, or sometimes you're like, you know what, I want to deviate because my taste is this. I'm going to inject my own personal preference into this. This recipe isn't going to be the normal. This recipe is going to be my own creation. But I'm finding some kindred spirits here along the way. That's what this 3 of buttons is about, because it's about collaboration. It's about working together. And the other cool thing about this, I think, is even though you are your own unique person, that there's nobody else like you, that you have your own thoughts and feelings and ideas about things. This is not finding people who are exactly like you, but people who are flexible. Maybe you bounce ideas off of them. Maybe they help you in some way, even if they don't fully understand what you're doing, but that's okay. They're accepting of that because you're accepting of them. We all have our unique role to play. This is also talks about being connected to everyone around us. And just because we're different than other people doesn't mean that we're not connected. Like, we all have our own unique position and our unique talents and our unique skills and our unique thoughts that we're bringing in to co-create the world around us. And this is really embracing all of that. Then we've got the 8 of buttons reversed. So it says perfectionism, uninspired, and mediocrity, which is interesting. Like, perfectionism and mediocrity don't normally go together, but it's kind of like and I'll explain this, when you are like so focused on something, or you have this ideal of the way it can be, and you can't quite, like, nothing is ever going to be perfect, but you don't really necessarily accept that for yourself, or you know that it's not going to be perfect, so you just are okay with being mediocre. So that's what the card means as far as what is written on here. But 8 of buttons reversed is very much about kind of like self-development, and I think that's a little bit more of in line with what is going on with you this week in this reading, is self-development. Becoming the best version of yourself, and but it's you following what you want to do versus what you're told to do. For instance, I know that there are people who, like, their parents are doctors and they're supposed to be a doctor and they want to be a comedian, for example. It's following your own path and being the best version of you that you can be, rather than what somebody else tells you that you should be. And also talk about determination and discovering like a new skill for yourself. So this week, be open to that, to finding, it's very much kind of like a self-discovery week, and really kind of like a talking with the universe, whatever that means to you, and finding out where you fit in. Letting go of kind of like perfectionism, in the sense that, not beating yourself up about it. You understand that things aren't going to be perfect, and sometimes you just have to put some things out there. It doesn't mean that it has to be mediocre. You can make it good. And it's not being so hard on yourself too, like checking in with your friends, because I think that they would tell you that your efforts are very, very good when you think that they are mediocre. And then I almost feel like, this whole perfectionism, beating up on yourself, kind of leads us to this magician in reverse. I think I said before, imposter syndrome. That's when we have negative thoughts where we feel like we're in a situation where we didn't earn it, or we don't deserve it, or we shouldn't be here, or what am I thinking? Why am I here? But I feel like you very much need to connect with these people and let them help you. Again, be flexible. Like, not everything is going to be perfect, and accept that. And when you do, then you can start like weaving this beautiful web that you're supposed to weave, and creating this beautiful life that you're supposed to create. And the magician creates that life. The magician is a master manifester, a master of skills is what it says here. The magician has like everything, all the tools available to him or her that they need. They have everything. And the crow spirit, this co-create with spirit, is here to remind you that you have what you need, that you can accomplish what you want to accomplish, as long as you let go of these negative thoughts and put your mind to it. So let's see what else we have. Oh, very nice. We've got will, and then we've got faith. So wax and gibbous will, number 13, and then worm, moon, faith, and this is 31. I didn't look at the moons before we came in, but I think the worm moon was pretty recently. Anyway, I don't know if that has anything to do with our timing, but I do love this 1, 3, and 3, 1. So that's interesting as well. I'm just gonna throw it out there. Let's talk about will here for a moment. I love it with the magician, because I think we need to reverse the reversed magician. We need to turn it around. I need you to understand your skills. I need you to understand your place. I need you to understand how you can co-create with spirit and bring in your manifestations, bring in the life that you want and how you want it. I love that the will here has like the phases of the moon, that you understand that it's not just a like snap your fingers and you have everything that you want, that there are phases to it, that you're bringing it in. It's a process, that you just keep doing it and stick with it. You are in charge. I need you to be persistent. I need you to focus on yourself. I need you to control yourself. I need you to control your thoughts. Let go of negative thoughts. Let go of anything that's not serving you, and bring in these positive thoughts, because you are a co-creator with spirit. And then faith, it's just having the faith that you can do that. Understanding that there are cycles, and again, like the moon here, but also like this is a cycle of growth, and this is just she's just closing her eyes and understanding or believing that everything is going to be okay, that we're handing this, we're not alone, that we are co-creating with friends, we're co-creating with spirit, we are creating something bigger and more beautiful than ourselves, and having faith that we can do that. So I feel like the message here is to have faith in yourself, give yourself like some self-love here, give yourself a break, and really bring in some more positive thoughts because you deserve it. And then we've got some, our final stuff here is the past is now behind you. Release it and embrace new possibilities. A new path is now available to you. Follow it with faith. Faith, look at that. And then passion, a magnetic and seductive quality surrounds you at the present. Enjoy it. So that's awesome. I love this whole like magnetic and seductive quality. I think that really goes far with your friends over here that can help you. But that is what I have for you, group 4. Let's co-create with spirit. Let's get a control over our thoughts, and let's just keep moving because you definitely deserve it, and you are worthy, and you are just, even if you're not following the social norms, or even if you feel like you are like an outcast, you are part of something bigger than yourself. You are connected, and you are absolutely necessary. We need you. We love you. That's what I have for you. I hope to see you in the next reading.